Hello and welcome back to Faceless Security, where we explore the world of technology and cybersecurity.
So let's talk about something you rely on every single day, but maybe don't think about much: operational technology, or OT. This is the stuff that literally runs our physical world: the power grids, the water treatment plants, the factories. And as we've connected all this critical hardware to the internet, the game has completely changed. The consequences of a cyber attack are no longer just digital, they're very, very real. Okay, let's dive in. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at what this new cyber-physical battlefield actually is. Then, we'll walk through a blueprint for defense with a key standard. We'll tackle what I call the unpatchable problem. After that, we'll check out the global rules of engagement. And finally, we'll wrap up with a practical checklist to build a resilient fortress. All right, first up, the new cyber-physical battlefield. So, what makes securing OT so different from regular IT? Well, it's all about the stakes. We've moved way beyond stolen data. We're now in a world where a line of code can cause physical destruction, shut down essential services, and even put human lives at risk. And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi scenario. This prediction from Gartner is chilling because it highlights a reality that security professionals are grappling with right now. I mean, just imagine a hacker getting into a city's water system or flipping the switch on a power grid during a blizzard. This threat isn't just theoretical anymore, it's here. This really gets to the core of the difference. For decades, IT security has been a three-letter game: CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, availability. It's all about protecting data. But when you step into the OT world, the priorities flip on their head. The absolute number one goal is availability and safety. A factory can't just stop. A power plant can't just go down. A single millisecond of disruption isn't an inconvenience. It's a potential catastrophe. So how did we even get here? Well, the root of the problem is something we call convergence. You see, most of these OT systems were built decades ago, long before anyone was thinking about connecting them to the internet. They were designed to be incredibly reliable, but they were in their own little isolated bubbles. They often don't even have basic security, like passwords. And now we've basically plugged these old, vulnerable systems into a global network that's absolutely crawling with threats. Okay, so given these pretty unique and frankly scary challenges, how do you even begin to build a defense? Well, you don't have to start from scratch. That's where a global standard comes in. Let's talk about the international gold standard for this: ISA/IEC 62443. Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't just some big, dusty, technical manual. Think of it as a complete management system. It's built on the idea that real security isn't just about firewalls and antivirus software. It's about getting the people, the processes, and the technology all working together, from the person on the plant floor all the way up to the CEO. What makes this standard so powerful is that it was literally built for the OT world from day one. It tackles those unique industrial risks head-on, things like health and safety, keeping physical processes running no matter what, and making sure the control systems are absolutely untouchable. We're talking about a whole different level of concern than you'd find in a typical office environment. And here's a peek at how it works in the real world. The standard lays out these foundational requirements. Take system integrity. That's not just about a computer virus, it's about making damn sure that the code telling a turbine how fast to spin hasn't been secretly changed. Or restricted data flow. That's about building digital walls so that if an attacker gets into the front office network, they can't just hop over and start messing with the factory floor. Every single rule is tied directly to preventing a physical disaster. Now, if we have this amazing standard, why is this still so incredibly hard? Well, that brings us to what might be the single biggest headache in OT security. I like to call it the unpatchable problem. Just let that number sink in for a second. 85%. That means the overwhelming majority of our critical infrastructure, the things we depend on for electricity, water, and manufacturing, are running with known security holes. And not just for a few days. We're talking months, or sometimes even years. It's staggering. So why is this happening? Well, there are a few huge reasons. First, you're dealing with ancient equipment. I mean, systems literally running on Windows XP or older software that the original company doesn't even support anymore. Second, you can't just reboot a power grid for a quick update. Downtime costs millions and is sometimes just not an option. And third, you've got vendor issues. If you apply a patch without the manufacturer's okay, you could void your warranty or, even worse, your critical safety certifications. It's a total minefield. Okay, so if you can't patch, what do? You don't just throw your hands up. You have to compensate. This means you have to get smart and manage the risk in other ways. For those ancient systems, you use network segmentation to build a digital fence around them. To deal with vendors, you can use a digital twin, a virtual copy of your system to test patches safely. The strategy shifts from just reacting and patching to proactively containing and reducing risk. So, this massive patching problem is a big reason why governments and regulators have started to step in. They know we can't just hope for the best. This brings us to the rules of engagement, the different regulations around the world that are designed to force companies to secure our critical infrastructure. We're going to quickly compare three very different approaches. We've got NIST 800-82 in the US, which is like a best practices guide. Then there's NERC-CIP, which is a straight-up mandate for the power grid. And finally, a really interesting maturity model from Indonesia's financial sector called OJK. Let's start with NIST 882. Think of this as the foundational playbook. It's super valuable because it helps organizations take standard IT security practices and translate them for the weird world of OT. It even lines up with something called the Purdue model, which is basically the classic map of an industrial network, from the factory floor sensors right up to the corporate network. For a lot of companies, this is the perfect starting point. Okay, now let's switch gears to NERC CIP. This is not a friendly guideline. This is a mandate with teeth. If you operate any part of the North American power grid, you must comply, period. There are massive fines if you don't. What it does is classify every piece of equipment as high, medium, or low impact, and the rules get tougher the more critical the asset is. The key word here is accountability. There are no excuses. And for a completely different flavor, check out Indonesia's OJK regulation. This is what's called a maturity model. It's not just about checking boxes, it's about constantly getting better. And it has some fascinating requirements, like forcing companies to have a cybersecurity unit that's totally separate from IT to prevent conflicts of interest. And my favorite part, they have to run yearly adversarial attack simulations. Basically, they hire hackers to try and break in to see how ready they really are. Okay, we've gone through the risks, the standards, the patching nightmare, and the regulations. So how in the world do you put this all together in a practical way? Let's boil it all down into an actionable checklist for building a truly resilient fortress. Phase 1 is all about governance. Put someone in charge, a high-level person with real authority, just like NERC CIP demands. Phase 2 is all about seeing what you've got. You can't protect what you can't see, so you have to build a detailed inventory of all your assets and then separate your networks. And finally, Phase 3 is getting operationally ready. Create a realistic patching plan, even if it involves compensating controls, and then, just like OJK mandates, you have to test your emergency response plans with realistic drills every single year. You know, when you look at all these frameworks and rules, they all point to one simple, deeper truth. This isn't just about passing an audit or checking a box on a form. It's about a fundamental responsibility we have to protect the systems that keep our society running. Which really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As we continue to connect every single piece of our physical world to the internet, is just being compliant with the minimum rules really the goal? Or is compliance just the starting line in a much longer race to build a truly safe and resilient future?
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more great content from Faceless Security.